Hello everyone, my name is Victor and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, if you just found me randomly, well, you are most welcome aboard. I'm a flight attendant and usually every week I share with you some travel tips, how to travel in better conditions. But today we're going to talk about something that's actually not allowed on the plane. It's called the Mile High Club. Welcome aboard. So before I go into the story time, I'm just going to redefine what's a Mile High Club. Being a member of the Mile High Club, and it's a fictional club, means you have sexual intercourse on the plane, and that's pretty much it. Usually that happens in the toilets, but we had also some passengers have been doing it, tried to do it under a blanket in the dark cabin at night. All those things are actually not allowed. I can't speak for every laws in every country in the world, but usually I don't think there's a law against it. But when you fly on a plane, you have to obey to crew instructions, you have to obey to the terms and conditions of your ticket, and also the common sense of how to behave in society. So as if you would be in a movie theater and go in the toilets and have sex, well, it's kind of illegal and not allowed in a movie theater to do it. You need to get a room. Well, it's exactly the same thing on the plane. The only thing on the plane you're most likely to get caught because, well, there's not so many people, there's always seats around the toilets, or flight attendant might be coming around. So how much does it cost? Again, it varies. If you get caught, by how many people may have seen it or heard it, and then also what's the airline policy around it. In general, and again, I'm staying very, very general, if you haven't been caught by anyone except the flight attendant who may have seen it, and you've been quite discreet, you might get a smile. Yes, you might smile around it, but you might get kind of a warning, and then just be careful and ask you not to do it again. And again, I'm talking doing it inside the toilets of the plane. If you're doing on your seat or around the seat or in the blanket, that's completely not allowed, and the penalty will be much more severe. If you've been caught because you were a little bit more noisy when that happened on the plane, or if many people may have seen it, then that will, on the top of the warning, you might be arrested on arrival. You will probably have to pay a fine, and then you might be banned to fly on this airline. It could be for short term, it could also be for life. So again, it will be pretty much what the airline management will decide to do with the situation. So it's not something that I recommend. I want to be very clear with that. Now, story time. Victor had been part of the Mile High Club, and that happened about 25 years ago. Back then, I was not a flight attendant, I was not working for any airline, I was only a very frequent flyer. I think I was flying around 5 times a week, mostly domestic. I was living in France back then, so domestic France. That day, I remember I was flying from Toulouse, which is south of France, going to Montpellier, which is also south of France. But on that day, there was no direct flight, late in the afternoon, so I had to do Toulouse to Paris, and then connecting 2.5 hours later to Montpellier. So I have 2.5 hours on the ground in Paris. Okay, no big deal. That happened before 9/11, so the security and all the rules about airline security were not as strict as they are now. And I end up talking with a flight attendant which I flew before with a few times, randomly. So we recognized each other and we decided to have a chat, and then we realized that this crew was taking me to Paris, and on the same aircraft 2.5 hours later, they were taking me to Montpellier. Oh, cool. And you say, would you like to stay on board? Because you can't be by yourself, but I'm planning to stay on board. I think the rest of the crew is just going to go to the crew room. I say, why not? It's more quiet on the plane. I don't have to deal with everybody in the departure lounge, and I can actually work or read a book or something. I don't remember what I was doing. So we get into Paris, everybody get off, and I stay on the plane with this flight attendant. Start to read my book, and well, 2.5 hours is quite a long time. So we started to talk, and then start with general, and then start to become a bit more personal, and to the point we ended up around the galley just having a glass of water, and then next to the galley is a toilet, and don't ask me why, we ended up together in the toilet. So we had this sexual intercourse in the toilet of an Airbus 320, and trust me, it is not something that glamorous. The toilets of a plane, as if you've been in one, are very tiny. There's not so much space. Sometimes the wall in the toilet is not very straight because it goes around with a fuselage, so you can hit your head against anything that's around there. It's not straight wall. The toilet will flush by itself very often. The seat toilet is a very thin plastic, needs to be light, so I was worried it's gonna break. and limited space. It's really not something exciting and something very good. And nothing, I'm sorry if you were this flight attendant who had it with me, it's nothing against you. It's actually, this environment is not really made for having a sexual intercourse. It's not made to be two in the toilets anyway, in those planes. So where you had it, yeah, that was not that much fun. And then after we went back in the cabin, we could have been called by ground staff, we could have come on board, could have been called by an engineer, by other crew member who decided to come back earlier, but lucky us, no one called us. So I don't know if I can say I've been part of, I'm really a member of a Mile High Club because we were not flying, we were actually on the ground in Paris, but yeah, I've done it. So if you want to learn more about Victor and who I am, click on the box right here. There's, no sorry, this way. There's a small video where I introduce myself, we haven't met before. Every week I will continue to post a video with travel tips and stuff that actually you're allowed to do on the plane. I suggest that you click the subscribe button, which seems somewhere around there, and then that means you will see my videos on the top of your list whenever you go back to YouTube. And if you don't want to miss any video, and again I'm not forcing you to watch them, but just notify you where there's a new video coming, you just click the small bell button. And just before we finish, a question for you. Have you ever seen something happening on the plane, witnessed some passengers going down the aisle with their pants on their knees, or it happened to you, or you have some crusty, juicy stories you'd like to share? Feel free, there's a comment box below, and I'll see you next week. Bye!